Warning, the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, the world's most exciting podcast, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, New York Times best-selling author and National Radio Hall of Fame inductee, Michael Savage.
Look at the British Labour Party. I mean, we're like talking about people voting from jail cells. All right, we're talking about not having a border. I mean, come on, people. Every day people are out there struggling. We're trying to get votes. I don't want the Democratic Party of the United States to be the Labour Party of the United Kingdom.
We're losing our damn minds, says James Carville, unloading on the Democratic Party. Longtime Democratic strategist who I long ago said was a combination, let's say a mixture between half man and half lizard. He's making sense. He said he's scared to death of the 2020 election. He actually knows what's going on. He said 18% of the population controls 52 Senate seats. And he says the urban core is not going to get it done. What we need is power. Do you understand that's what it's about? And he went on a diatribe on MSNBC. Took particular aim at the communist Bernie Sanders, who he fears could lead the party to defeat in November. And Carville's lament distills a concern among the Democratic Party's establishment, which is that the ideological purity test that is playing to the psychopathic base is liable to cost the Democrats victory in November. Of course it will. And then he went on and he gave an interview and he said, look, the turnout in Iowa in the caucus was below what we expected. And Trump's approval rating is high as it's ever been. He sees the truth. Apparently the bartender is running the party, not this man who knows the political game. And then he talks about what the Democrats are doing wrong. And I'll just summarize it for you. He said we have candidates on the debate stage talking about open borders and decriminalizing illegal immigration. They're talking about doing away with nuclear energy and fracking. You've got Bernie Sanders talking about letting criminals and terrorists vote from jail cells. He said it doesn't matter what you think about any of that or if there are good arguments. He said it's not how you become a majoritarian party. Big word, majoritarian, like it. So then you got the communist Bernie pulling the wool over the eyes of the morons, sitting there in rapt attention as the communist continues to dazzle them with ideas that are as old as Bernie's dead great-grandfather. And the idiots sit there like he's the second coming. He is the second coming of Karl Marx. It's been tried before. It destroyed a nation and most of the world. But there he is, the communist imposter, getting away with stealing the Democratic Party out from under the feet of the establishment itself, which in a way is kind of laughable. If Sanders could steal the election from the other Democrats anyway, but they say that right now, this guy from whatever his name, I can't pronounce his name. I'm not trying to be smart with the name Buttigieg. I can't pronounce his name. The name alone is enough to stop him from getting to the presidency. If you can't pronounce a man's name, it's like branding. Anyone in the branding business knows if you have a brand name that doesn't work, the brand never goes anywhere. Do you understand that this guy, Pete, is a product of the media? Do you understand he's only a product of the media? Do you understand it's all he is a product of the media? Do you understand why he's a product of the media? Which leads me to a question that I realize may be taken in the wrong context. But was America ready for its first black president was asked when Obama ran. Do you remember the question? Do you remember we were allowed to ask the question? The answer was yes. Then Hillary ran. Was America ready for its first a female president? The answer was no. And it wasn't about her being a female. It was about her. I could vote for a female president. If there was a Lady Thatcher running, I could vote for her. But we didn't want to vote for her. But they were ready for a woman president. They were ready for a black president. Are they ready for a gay president? I don't know. What do you think about that? Is America ready for its first gay president? Looks like he's winning in Iowa. I mean, winning in Iowa. The whole thing is rigged. It's like a pinball machine that they lifted up and they're tilting. They're winning. Bernie's winning in Iowa. That's why they told you they don't know the results. The communist won in Iowa. But what does Iowa matter anymore? It's an irrelevancy. This goes back to the age of the horse and buggy Iowa. Why are we still paying attention to Iowa and New Hampshire? Tonight is another dog and pony show, another debate. Who's going to watch it? After all that we've been through, after this great speech by President Trump, is anyone going to really watch these clowns tonight? Yeah, people in politics and the media. Okay? But I'll ask you again, is America ready for its first gay president? You want to comment on it? Does he have a chance on winning the Dem nomination? And while we're talking about that, can you tell me what red and blue America see eye to eye on? Is there anything that red and blue America still see eye to eye on? What would that be? I would suppose it's national security, but even that issue is clouded now. Do you realize how crazy the Democrat Party has become? That 44 House Democrats, including the crazies, Ilhan Omar and occasional Cortex, want to pass a bill called the New Way Forward Act. And what that would be eliminate illegal aliens completely. In other words, eliminate the idea of an illegal alien. They want to make them all legal, all of them. In fact, they want to go even further. And they want immigrants who commit serious crimes, such as robbery, fraud, or other, even child sexual abuse, which today they must be deported under Trump, regardless of the sentence they receive. Do you realize they want to legalize that? They want to eliminate all deportation, including that of child sexual abusers. Can you believe that? So the new law that they're pushing forward, the New Way Forward Act, is totally crazy. It would abolish all existing enforcement against illegal immigration. It would basically eliminate ICE. And we would now have a country run by illegal aliens and the drug gangs. That's the Democrat Party's thrust today. And so the elders of the Democrat Party are freaking out. Obama, who's now a powerful, wealthy man, he was always a powerful man, but now he's a super wealthy man, probably a billionaire. I'm sure that Obama's fortunes have risen near $1 billion. I know he got $100 million. It was allegedly $100 million for a book deal from him and Michelle. Then they got over $100 million in a Netflix deal. They owned a bunch of houses while they were still in office, 3 mansions. I would say that their wealth is probably in the $500 million range, $500 million to $1 billion. God knows what else he skimmed in. Do you think he wants to give his money up to the crazies to disperse it to the illegal aliens? Nah, I don't think so. Well, that's just, the political side of the show tonight on the Savage Nation, or today, whenever you're listening to it. And it looks to me that if things stay the way they are, it's going to be Trump by a landslide, as I said to you the other day, as it should be. Pope Francis calls for global wealth redistribution. Now, I was the first one with the guts and brains to call him I didn't call him a Marxist. In my book, Government Zero, I called him Lenin's Pope. Do you understand who this bouncer is? Now, I know this may be considered offensive to Catholics from the old school Catholicism, but this guy is a complete fraud. In fact, this Pope is to the Catholic Church what Bernie Sanders is to the Democrat Party. Bernie Sanders is a naked Marxist. The Pope is a naked Leninist. Now, I pointed it out in Government Zero. Do you finally agree with me? The Pope is calling for a global wealth tax. Now, I would believe that if this Pope were honest, he would begin by selling off some of the assets of the Vatican. I myself will repeat my very generous offer of $10 million for the Sistine Chapel ceiling. I'll even have it removed at my own expense. I say, Mr. Pope, if you really want global wealth redistribution, I, Michael Savage, am offering $10 million right now for the Sistine Chapel ceiling, and I'll pay to have it removed and moved to San Francisco, where I'll install it somewhere and such, because I think it's worth a lot more than $10 million, Mr. Pope, and that would go a long way towards helping all of your favorite causes. And while you're at it, Mr. Pope, why don't you sell off some of the assets of the Catholic Church? Why don't you begin by selling off your private jet, which belches out a lot of carbon dioxide as you fly around dispensing your Leninism, Mr. Pope? How can modern Catholics not see through this man? Well, again, let's move on to another topic, since I mentioned belching out carbon dioxide. The other day, I watched a PBS documentary on the polar ice caps, and I kind of knew where it was going to go, but it was so well produced. And as a trained scientist with a real earned doctorate from a great university, I was fascinated by the science they were presenting. and I was open-minded, because one of the marks of a trained scientist is to retain an open mind. And I have an open mind on the issues that surround us, including the issues of temperature change on the planet. I may disagree with the establishment core that it's based upon man's effluences of carbon and such, although I'm an ardent conservationist and have been all of my life. And I would disagree with them that we have to modify our entire lifestyles in order to save the planet. I don't think it's quite as drastic as they are presenting. But I watched the PBS documentary. Did anyone see it? Anyone listening to the show actually see that one? On the polar ice caps and how we're all going to drown soon, and how there's going to be palm trees in Antarctica if we're not careful, and how do you explain hippos in the hills of Utah and all of that? Well, I've faced this issue a long time ago, and I've thought about it in great detail. I've studied all of the issues surrounding the whole issue of climate change from a scientist's point of view, not from a politician's point of view. And I have to tell you, to just use the argument that those on the conservative side use are stupid. That's why we're losing the argument. If we're going to let people who have never graduated high school or only went to law school and have no scientific background whatsoever to continue to disseminate the falsehoods that the right wing is putting out about climate change, we're going to lose the argument, as we already are losing the argument. And if we're going to continue to decimate the public lands, as Trump is doing, we're going to lose the argument again. As much as I support President Trump, I do not support everything President Trump does. And he knows it. He even said to me when he invited me on Air Force One, he looked at me and he said certain things to me which I can't repeat. And I said, no, you're wrong on those issues. And you can't let those in the industrial world control every decision you make, because they're going to destroy the earth, and they're going to destroy your presidency. Even if you win again, they'll destroy your legacy. I said that. And one of the things President Trump admires about Michael Savage is my willingness to express the truth. I'm not a yes man, neither is he. And also, I'm not looking for anything from him. I don't want anything from him. I'm not trying to buy anything from him. So I want to talk about the issue of climate change today. In fact, in the next hour on the Savage Nation, you're not going to want to miss the debate we're going to have on this issue with a leading individual who does not believe in the whole fantasy of climate change caused by man. But I'm not so sure that he's 100% right. In fact, I'm not so sure that either side is 100% right. What about you? Back in a minute on the Savage Nation.
The Savage Nation. It's Savage on demand.
You know, when emergencies strike, earthquake, tornado, terrorism, weather condition, what do you see? News stories of long lines of people on empty store shelves. Well, there's no need for you to be part of that chaos and the possibility of having to deal with FEMA food lines. Those who know what's coming are using today to prepare. Please make a plan as well. I already have by building an emergency food supply, and I trust and use my Patriot Supply. You see, they're experts in emergency preparedness and have guaranteed 2-day delivery. Disasters won't wait for you. Neither should you wait. This week, save $70 on a 2-week emergency food kit when you go to my special website, which is preparewithsavage.com. It's simple. Preparewithsavage.com. My Patriot Supply food kits last up to 25 years in storage. 25 years in storage, and they include breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. Order a few today and receive guaranteed 2-day delivery discreetly to your door. Please take action so you're ready for what's coming and save $70. Those that know what's coming are preparing today. Go to preparewithsavage.com. You can keep them in a dark closet, in a cool, dark closet. You don't need a special storage area. Please listen to me. Go to preparewithsavage.com. Be prepared by going to preparewithsavage.com. I want to talk for a minute about climate change. Now, there's so much I have to say, and here's the problem with talk radio. What I have to say about Immanuel Velikovsky, Earth in Upheaval, Worlds in Collision, and how it influenced me in the 1950s, and what it has to do with the whole theory of climate change, would take me probably 3 hours to do, at least 3 hours. And I can't do it in the compressed time I have right now. It's